How should you deal with very strong emotions that are presented in a coaching session? I have some examples to share as well as some thoughts about this in this video. Many years ago, I was coaching a leader of a department inside an organization of about 120 people. They had about 5 or 6 people reporting to them, and they reported to one of the senior executives at the firm. There was the possibility that a new person could be put in above her and in between the senior most executive at the firm. Well, it turns out that the organization was thinking along those same lines and decided to hire someone into that position above my client. The problem is they didn't invite my client to apply for the position, even though they had years of experience and was well regarded in that function in that organization. I came to a coaching session one day, ready to go. I'd already been coaching this person for some time, and I was taken aback when it seemed like my client was distraught. They shared with me that they had just found out that someone had been hired above them and they were not even invited to apply for the position. Understandably, my client was very upset. They were crying, they were upset, angry, frustrated, sad, demoralized. I mean, they were a bundle of all kinds of strong and difficult emotions. Well, at that time, I wasn't exactly sure what to do because I had not planned for this encounter. I was dealing with it in real time, just as my client was. So after letting her share with me what she was feeling in that moment, I asked, "Would you like to continue our coaching session today?" After they gave it some thought, they said, "No, I don't think so. I don't think I can really think in a clear-headed way about this situation, and I can't imagine anything else that I would really want coaching on right now. I think we ought to just not have coaching today." This is one possible scenario that will unfold for you when your client is dealing with very strong emotions. It's often when they get news just before the coaching session or hours before the coaching session that you then encounter these very strong emotions that they are unable to process in a meaningful way in that moment. It would have been very inappropriate for me to say, "Well, what can you make of this? What should you do about this? What's within your control? What do you think should be your next step? How should you go forward from here?" Asking those kinds of questions when dealing with very raw emotions, they don't land well. So that's my first thought about dealing with very strong emotions, is considering if coaching is appropriate at that time. It may not be. I had another client even earlier on than this first example. That client wanted to finish a project that they had started and stopped several times over several years. They finally wanted to get the project done, and they wanted coaching around getting it done. So we had a single-minded focus for our coaching sessions, which were going to be for a short term to finish that project. We created the timeline, created opportunities within their routines, and blocks of time to really think about the project. We went through all the challenges that the client was facing and the plans they had to put in place and the routines that they would have to embody to finish the project. So that part was going well. But there were sessions where the client would come and want to spend the first few minutes venting about their personal relationship and how it wasn't going well. They were experiencing strong emotions of anger, disappointment, frustration, resentment, and on and on. What I did in that case is I actually just sat there and let the client vent. I didn't ask coaching questions as to what they would like to do about it because, one, I'm not a trained counselor. I don't deal with marriage and family relationships. So there wasn't really anything that I could do substantial per my background and training that would be appropriate for this client. But I wasn't going to end the session. So instead, I just let them vent. And then I said, would you like to start talking about the project now? And the client, having released all that tension, was then able to relax and move their attention towards the project. And then we would focus on that. Eventually, we finished with the project. I was never able to help them with the relationship, which I was never hired to do, nor was I trained to do. But they still felt some sort of catharsis from being able to just kind of vocally share their frustrations in a safe space. So that's another idea for how you might deal with someone's strong emotions. Just hold space for them. Let them unload and share. And then a third scenario, I don't have an example for it per se, but a third scenario would be when your client is facing strong emotions and they do need to do something about it. And that's when you would ask coaching questions around what's in their control. What would they like to do about it? How do they want to affect the situation going forward? Or what's their next step? That sort of thing. We'll ask questions like that and help them to deal with these emotions in a positive and productive way to fuel their forward progress towards a better reality. I did actually have a client in that situation where they had encountered a new manager whom they didn't have a lot of respect and appreciation for, and felt that that new manager also didn't respect and appreciate them. So I dealt with some pretty strong emotions there. And in that case, they had to create a plan or an approach to deal with this situation because it was real and it was ongoing and it wasn't going to change anytime soon. So that's where you actually lean in and coach. You don't necessarily have to feel their emotions as much as support and provide empathy for the emotions they're feeling without necessarily agreeing with their take on the situation, because as we know, sometimes the stories that you hear aren't the full picture. So you don't have to agree with everything, but you can support and provide empathy and then talk about a way forward. I hope this video helps you to deal with strong emotions. This is something that you will encounter even in executive coaching situations. And it is related to the ICF coaching competencies and something that you should become comfortable with. If this video has been helpful, I hope you'll like it, comment on it, and share it with others. And of course, subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to go deeper with me and get certified as an executive coach and work your way towards an ICF credential or a board certified coach credential, then consider joining the Center for Executive Coaching. We have 3 levels of programs that can suit various budgets and timelines to make it accessible and practical for you to become certified as an executive coach. I lead online training programs and in-person seminars. Email me at michael@baeexecutivecoach.com or visit the centerforexecutivecoaching.com to learn about these programs. Thank you very much.